First up, we have this asshole. I don't know if you guys recognize him. I wish I didn't. This is Oklahoma Superintendent Ryan Walters, seen here explaining to small girls why they are the property of men and should be treated as such. He proclaimed that and I mean proclaimed in a very Michael Scott kind of style, that he is going to be sending out a memo stating that all teachers in his district will be forced to teach from the Bible in grades 5 through 12. I'll let him explain the reason behind this batshit insane decision.
We're going to make an important announcement today regarding the Bible and the Ten Commandments. My staff has been looking at Oklahoma statute. We've been looking at Oklahoma academic standards, and it's crystal clear to us that in the Oklahoma academic standards, under Title 70, multiple occasions, the Bible is a necessary historical document to teach our kids about the history of this country, to have a complete understanding of Western civilization, to have an understanding of the basis of our legal system, and is frankly, when we're talking about the Bible, one of the most foundational documents used for the Constitution and the birth of our country.
Just to note, everybody, this is all bullshit if you couldn't already tell. While the Bible has been an important historical document as far as influencing whole nations even through religion and such, and I do agree that some kind of tangential information about the Bible and its significance can be provided to appropriately aged children. I don't think that it's as serious as this guy points out. It is definitely not foundational to the founding of this country. There were some founding fathers that were Christians. A lot of them were deists, and a lot of them just simply non-religious in some kind of way. So the fact that the Constitution, like the one that actually makes up our country, is antithetical to just about nearly every foundational principle of Christianity and that's contained in the Bible, it seems like what he's saying is bullshit. And one way that you can know this is very easily is by the First Amendment to the Constitution in the Bill of Rights, because that guarantees that we have a freedom of religion. Guess what God doesn't fucking like in the Bible? In fact, multiple times. Isn't that right, honey? Multiple times. And we know this because we've read through the entire most of the Old Testament. We didn't read all of this prayers and shit. We've read through the story of the Old Testament. God has definitely hated that shit. He hates other cultures. He hates other people that don't worship him. And you know what he hates most of all? Allowing other cultures and other religions in your society. He thinks that's going to draw you away from worshiping that God dick. So what does he do? He punishes the Israelites whenever they allow other religions in their society. That's what the Bible teaches. That's one of the things that the Bible teaches. Another thing is that women are property. They should be forced into marriages, and that basically consent doesn't fucking exist, which I can see why it would appeal to this white motherfucker back here. He looks like the embodiment of needing to be like schooled on what fucking consent is. In any case, everything he said is totally bullshit. And while I agree, a tangential information being taught about the Bible as it relates to specific historical aspects, I think can be worked in a very secular way. But the way that he's presenting it, it's not it, bro.
We also find major points in history that refer to the Bible, that reference the Bible. We see multiple figures, whether we're talking about the Federalist Papers, constitutional conventional arguments, and Martin Luther King Jr., who use it as a tremendous impetus for the civil rights movement.
Now, the constitutional thing, like, and all that kind of stuff, the Bible is the least mentioned thing. So there's a lot of issues with presenting, this particular memo, like to specifically only teach from the Bible, which that's what he's saying, to only teach from the Bible. Not that other books can't be used, but as far as religious books goes, he's only mandating that the Bible be taught to children as if it's the only fucking religion that matters, right? For one thing, as far as it applying like constitutionally, like it being constitutionally okay for the Bible to be taught in schools or to be referenced in schools, has to be part of a broader secular educational program. It has to be presented in an objective and an academic manner, focusing on the Bible's influence on literature, history, and culture without endorsing the religious messages. He definitely wants them to endorse the fucking religious messages, especially the Ten Commandments, as we'll hear here in a minute. You also have to ensure that students of all religious backgrounds feel included and respected, providing context for understanding a variety of religious and secular traditions. That last one's kind of really important because Christians would frame it as, oh, everybody has the ability to agree with me about God, and that's how they think they can get around it. but that's horseshit. There are some key legal principles as far as allowing the Bible to be taught in schools. So there's the secular purpose requirement, which is also known as the Lemon test. This is according to Lemon v. Kurtzman in 1971. It's a decision by the Supreme Court, I believe. Government actions related to religion must have a secular legislative purpose and must not advance or inhibit religion and must not result in an excessive government entanglement with religion. Mandating Bible lessons can fail these criteria as it is often seen as advancing a particular religious viewpoint. So there are a lot of issues with this, and there's even more. But wait, there's more Supreme Court decisions that definitely disagree with this fuck here as far as their own state constitution or the Constitution of the United States requiring the Bible to be taught. Stone v. Graham struck down a law that was requiring the posting of the Ten Commandments in public school classrooms. And then Edwards v. Aguillard, which is a 1987 ruling, ruled that a Louisiana law requiring that creationism be taught alongside evolution in public schools was unconstitutional because it advanced a particular religious viewpoint. So, and we still got a little bit of video to get to, but all of this to say he's fucking wrong. He doesn't know what he's saying, and he's only going to drive his school district or whatever the fuck he controls into debt, facing several lawsuits that are definitely coming down the pipe if he actually mandates this.
And tie many of those arguments back to the Bible. It is essential that our kids have an understanding of the Bible and its historical context.
Oh, the historical context. You mean a warring, bloodthirsty tribe that was genociding several different people groups, who was also treating women as if they're property, forcing them into marriages, forcing them into sexual slavery, treating them like property? Not to mention the fact that actual chattel slavery was condoned by God. But yeah, totally. Sure. Let's teach that to fifth graders, shall we? Let's read Numbers fucking 31 to the fifth graders, being like, Israelites would have killed your ass, you fucking pagan. That brings up another thing. Which version of the Bible? Huh? Which version? I'm sure he's gonna come up with some kind of version to put out there, but exactly what version? Also, more importantly than what version, what theology are you gonna teach? Like, what theology about the Old Testament are you gonna teach? Are you gonna be literalist about it, or are you gonna be more metaphorical? Are you gonna teach the Trinity, or are you gonna teach like what actual first century Jews would believe in? You know, the fact that God was separate from Jesus, but they were, you know, sort of on the same level in a divine manner and all this other shit. Like, are you going to teach it like that? Like, there's so many different things that are going to have to be legislated on top of this so that teachers aren't personally pushing their own twisted interpretations of the text.
So we will be issuing a memo today that every school district will adhere to, which is that every teacher, every classroom in the state will have a Bible in the classroom and will be teaching from the Bible in the classroom, to ensure that this historical understanding is there for every student in the state of Oklahoma in accordance with our academic standards and state law.
Now, like I said before, there is a way in which you can secularly include the Bible in certain lessons, in certain contexts, but only as tangential information so that they can understand these historical conflicts or these historical events, right? But he's a bit more specific in the memo that he released, not to like schools in his district or anything like that, but to somebody else. I think it was a news agency or something like that. But as far as I understand it, as far as I've looked into it, he actually hasn't sent this memo out to like all teachers or all schools to be disseminated and adhered to. He's just threatened to do it, I guess. It's a memorandum to Oklahoma superintendents, CC'd Governor Kevin Stitt, pro tempore Greg Treat, Speaker Charles McCall, just a whole bunch of like government people. There's Ryan Walters, state superintendent of public instruction. Okay, so he's the state superintendent. Like he's Mac Daddy superintendent. I mean, they always just said superintendent, but I guess he's directing like everybody in there. That makes sense. Anyways, date June 27th, immediate implementation of foundational texts in curriculum. I like how he doesn't even mention the Bible in it. But anyways, to continue. Effective immediately, all Oklahoma schools are required to incorporate the Bible, which includes the Ten Commandments, as an instructional support to the curriculum across specified grade levels, e.g. grades 5 through 12. The directive is in alignment with the educational standards approved on or about May 2019, with which all districts must comply. I imagine him up on a mountain holding 2 stone tablets and saying, hear ye, the Bible is one of the most historically significant books and a cornerstone of Western civilization. I mean, it's important to our history, but like cornerstone, I'm not sure. Like, I feel like our Western civilization is more based on the Enlightenment period and a lot of the ideas that were brought forth in that, which include rationality, reason, and all this other stuff. Like, I feel like that's had a larger effect than like the fucking Bible, along with the 10 Commandments. They will be referenced as an appropriate study of history, civilization, ethics, comparative religion, or the like, as well as their substantial influence on our nation's founders and the foundational principles of our Constitution. That right there is kind of interesting because he says comparative religion, but he's only mandating that the Bible be taught from. So like, is it the teacher? Like maybe you can correct me. I know that this is very kind of general sort of language here. This isn't, I guess, maybe binding legally, but I kind of feel like to say comparative religion, but then only requiring the Bible. I feel like that's saying, well, teach from the Bible that the Bible, you know, is like, and compare the Bible to all these other religions, not necessarily saying that they're false, but definitely having the portrayal of, oh, this is the one that, you know, is the correct one. These other ones are not. I feel like that is definitely the view that they are wanting to put forth here. I don't know. That's how I feel about it. Do you disagree with me, hon? No? Okay, good. She's my barometer, by the way. I believe I thought I remembered seeing the Satanic Temple present this new, I guess, organization or learning center called HALE. I can't remember what the HALE stands for. It's something about learning. They've set up this thing because, you know, they're going to allow religious teaching in public schools. They've set it up to where they can actually teach that kind of shit in public schools in Oklahoma. I believe it was Oklahoma. It's definitely not Louisiana, I don't think. But in Oklahoma, I think that they've set that up so that they can take advantage of it as well. And hopefully this might challenge some things, you know? Anyways, to continue. This is not merely an educational directive, but a crucial step to ensuring our students grasp the core values and historical context of our country. Additionally, the State Department of Education may supply teaching materials for the Bible as permissible to ensure uniformity in delivery. So, now, state funds, taxpayer funds, are going to be used to buy either Bibles or Bible study materials like Bible workbooks in order to teach children about the tenets of Christianity. So this isn't just have the Bible on hand to refer to while you're teaching these historical events. This is, we're going to give you fucking workbooks so that you can proselytize to young children. Do you understand how much of a bail Casey would need because of the shit that I would stir up at a school, kicking the shit out of all of these people that just were like, well, he's got to be taught about God somehow. It's like, fuck, let me have that responsibility if I choose to. Why does a public school have to be fucking doing this? They're just pricks. I agree, honey. And then finally, adherence to this mandatory is compulsory. Further instructions for monitoring and reporting on this implementation for the 2024-25 school year will be forthcoming. Immediate and strict compliance is expected. Oh, fuck you, Ryan Walters. I hope, I don't hope this for the school system in Oklahoma, but I hope you personally get legislated into fucking hell. I really do. Of course, I do feel like he is primarily doing all of this shit in order to, like, I guess, get into the frontal lobes of Republicans in Oklahoma and just in general, all of these conservative Christian crazy assholes out there so that he can possibly make a bid for a higher political position. I feel like that's the purpose of this. He can be poor persecuted superintendent out of Fuckville, goddamn Oklahoma.